It was my cool reveal. Whoa! I have to get on this side of the camera. It's like a trick. Oh, I'm in Utah. Woo, I need that. Need that hood. It's a little cold on my ears. I just finished this Anatomy of a Masterpiece retreat. Good stuff. Can you tell? Just at this moment, I remembered I don't even know what this video is about. Doesn't matter. I just knew I wanted to make a video. Something that I do want to say that is really interesting. Can I tighten this hood a little bit? One of my teachers, Coyote, the other day made a video. You can find it on YouTube, a video about the four magics. The green magic, the white magic, the black magic, which is not what people think black magic actually is, and the red magic. And at the time when I heard that, basically the red magic is about like connection, human connection, brotherhood, love, simplicity of love. At the time I was like, oh, that's the only magic I haven't really mastered or figured out. And then at this retreat that I put together, someone reflected back to me like, you're the red magic guy. And I was like, oh, so that's the one I mastered the most. That's a trip. Maybe that's what this video is about. What is your superpower? Oh, I just remembered also what the video is about. It's about the flyers. I'll talk about that. And how it relates to your superpower, which is also known as your zone of genius, your tone of genius, your authentic expression. It all means the same thing. It's just words. It's the full capacity you have for aliveness. It's your true tone of your being. So I'm going to talk about the flyers. I'm going to say some stuff. This is kind of like some mythology I'm going to talk about. I'm thinking in my head I need to like look beyond the camera, not at the camera, because my eyes are just easier time focusing. So I'm going to look like at the horizon, but it still look like I'm looking at you. So just total transparency. I did this walk the other day with one of my students, and he was like questioning his path and all this stuff. I'm walking in those footsteps right now on the same path here. And actually I'll walk to where we were and I'll see if I can approximate it, and I'll show you what we did there. If you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be fun. So in the Toltec mythology, which is not just mythology, this to me is really real. The flyers are the energetic web of lies, fixing my sock, which come through our socialization and hook us emotionally into basically believing false things about ourselves. And I'm not quite there yet. As the story goes, which again, I really believe this is real because of experience I had just a few nights ago. Really sealed the deal for me. There was an ancient sorcerer. There were lots of ancient sorcerers. The Toltecs started with the old seers. Then later came the new seers, and later came the new seers. The old seers had a very particular flavor, which was experimentation without a full education. So that meant that they had real access to power, but they didn't have a real understanding of integrity, and so they didn't have the understanding of how to develop a servant ego. So the shadows of their ego remained intact, and the shadows came from overstimulation, survival needs. It wasn't that intense, but their cultivation of power intensified it. Sorcerers are kind of known as being outcasts from society because people are afraid of power. And there was one sorcerer in particular who became very powerful. I don't know when this was, but I have some clues that this might have been about 6,000 to 9,000 years ago. Relatively not that long ago. It was, I think that I'm just kind of, this is not from my knowing, this is more from like studying. I think the fall of Atlantis was like 20,000 years ago. I think it lasted for almost a couple hundred years or something. Cover 100,000 years. And again, this is just, studying sources. I think this is the spot. Yeah, I think this is the spot where we were the other day. I'm just gonna do a couple. I'm just gonna stay here for a minute, just to commemorate that. So, I think about 6,000 years ago, this ancient sorcerer, this powerful sorcerer, created an energetic AI, a being, like a spirit, that he created and programmed to go suck energy from other people, to probably get him energy, but it went haywire, and it, as far as I understand, it turned on him, and it infected. 6,000 years later, it affected all of humanity. And so there was a flyer, which is this being. I've heard before that when you go into it, seeing in the energetic realms, I've heard that it looks like a headless bat, but maybe different people see it in different ways. But anyway, the flyers, there was an original flyer, and then it replicated itself and created like tentacles that come through families. Children are particularly susceptible because they are wired correctly through the functionality of what's known as the parasite, which is what children have in order to properly absorb everything they need: nutrients, education, you know, from the world that they're born into, from their family and everything. So children absorbed, and are still to this day absorbing, the tentacles of the flyers through their families of origin. And the flyers are designed to put a hole called the gap in the energy field so that they can create, they can drain life force, and that gap, the looser and more flabby and bigger that gap is, it's a multi-dimensional gap. It's not just on one plane of reality, but it's multiple planes of reality. The looser that gap is, the more energy somebody's losing, the more quickly that they die, and the more quickly they betray themselves and weaken in every way. And if someone does not know how to build their will, they're losing it, right? You either use it or lose it. So the flyers have their tentacles in everybody, virtually everybody on the planet. Maybe there's some, like, native tribes like the Aborigines or something that possibly the flyers have not infiltrated, but that would be hard. That would be hard for me to believe, because, but maybe, I don't know. I'm not an expert, and I know the Aborigines can do some things that are within the realm of their superpowers, magic. Right? Humans are innately magical. Humans innately have a magical abilities that, because of the flyers, we see as hocus pocus. Oh, the coyotes are howling at me. The idea is that, wow, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Can you hear that? Humans have the abilities to become animals. Humans have the abilities to mold the world around them. But because of the flyers, which have, I'm going to be dramatic and say, confiscated our identities, there's a deep forgetting of who we are, what's possible, what world we live in. It causes people to be so overstimulated that we have become fixated on objects. We see, in a very oversimplified reality, we see everything as an object, every person as an object. We see ourselves as objects. It's ludicrous. Like when you do a plant medicine, or amphibians, if you're familiar with the psychedelic medicines. In those states, people, there's no objectification. There's a complete remembrance of the nature of reality. Maybe not complete, but there's a severely significant remembrance of the nature of reality. And seeing ourselves as objects starts to dissolve, and seeing other people as objects starts to dissolve. And objects, you know, trying to look for an object here. Objects become alive in that remembrance. It's such a different world. It's a complete, where we are as a species has become so distorted, and to the point where we are, as a species, we are laughing at the nonsense. I'm putting air quotes if you're just listening and you didn't see my, it's an air quote nonsense about the mysticism, the sorcery. And there's a lot of BS out there because a lot of people do misunderstand this, but it doesn't mean it's not real. It's actually insanity to think it's not real. Humans actually are these very powerful, multidimensional creator beings, and the flyers, the impact of the flyers has created such an objectification that we are actually looking for proof that magic doesn't exist. It's like the craziest thing. It's like we're oh, there's a deer. Hello. We're tricked into trying to prove our disempowerment over and over and over again. It's wild. It's wild how stupid, how deeply stupid this whole habit is. We've forgotten consciousness, and we have just identified as our bodies. That's what the flyers have caused. Because I love how deers prance like that. It's like tink, 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 like all four at the same time. It's like so cool. I wish I could show you, but I don't know if I can get it on camera. Did that work? I hope that worked. I couldn't see the frame, but I think you might have seen it. So, remembering consciousness. To me, consciousness is like a dark lightning. It's invisible, but it's very significant. It's a flash of truth. It is you as truth. It is pure aliveness. And the only way we can access it is if we submit to consciousness. There's another deer. Starting in 2024, I want to help by creating an artistic experience which will remove the flyers' impact from your system. And it might be challenging in some parts, but it's not It's not just homework. It's not a punishment. It's not just hard. It's also super fun, but it's a different kind of fun. One of the themes of this retreat was when someone's in their shadow and they're like, oh, I just want to do this. I'm like, you're having the wrong kind of fun. Like, it's okay to have fun, but your genius fun is way different than the addictive fun. They're way, way different. So you might be tempted to have the wrong kind of fun in this experience, and that's going to be painful. And if you're not interested in that and facing that, and you want to have the addictive fun, this is not for you. But if you want to have the right kind of fun, come in closer. Okay, that's too close. It's daytime now. You think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. In 2024, I'm going to be running a 10-week program designed to be the most powerful program in existence on the topics covered in this video. When I do this kind of thing, it's beyond me. I can't even tell you what's going to happen because I change drastically in the process too. That's how big it is. This can't be compared to any other experience out there. This is not therapy. There will be a number of dark lightning performances inside the space of this 10-week program. When that happens, my body produces energies that break stuff, breaks away stagnancy. If you know this is for you, reach out. We can discuss it. Don't let life slip by for another year or another month. I know what that's like. Our standards are going way up. So it is.